All right, what's happening, you guys? Treeline podcast here. It's been about maybe 3 weeks, a month or so since we saw each other last. Just trying not to blow up this microphone. I'm just trying to get everything looking good. All right, so some things have happened. If you've noticed, if you were paying attention to the news, uh, the Trump administration they went and they grabbed Maduro and Maduro's wife in Caracas, Venezuela. Now, that's a big deal because I mean, we just proved on the world stage that we can come and get you. You know what I'm saying? We could just, instead of we don't have to do whatever Russia and Ukraine's doing. Like, they've been going back and forth, basically since like 2014, but more recently, in just last 4 years or so, they've been going back and forth and killing each other heavily. And I'm talking about, hundreds of thousands of dead. Um, and and I don't know. I'm not saying, Putin's incapable, but just, going over the last 4 years of his situation with Ukraine, it seems like they did not explore. Either they didn't explore this option, or they explored it, and it wasn't a viable option for them. But what we did, you know, was a viable option for us. Um, we trained, we trained some of the baddest motherfuckers walking on the face of the planet. We put them through some rehearsals, and then we executed. And we weren't like we didn't sneak up on them. I mean, we had a whole fleet down there just off the coast of Caracas. It's not like we just came, flying in from somewhere in the back. You know, so said my buddy Toby Keith. But let's be real, man. The whole world knows now. You know what I mean? If they didn't know before, like, you should know now. We don't need to come and just be in your country for a decade of wars anymore. We don't need that shit. We'll just take the head off your snake and leave. You know what I mean? Like, and so they took him that night, and the next day he was in New York getting indicted on like uh, narco terrorism charges. Like, bro, like, there's a whole new world out here. Like, we can just come get you. I don't think it's necessarily exciting. Actually, who the fuck am I kidding? That's exciting, dude. I guess they were saying. I guess the last time this happened, I thought was like in the '60s. Um, yeah, last time U.S. Kidnapped. I don't know if you'd call it kidnapping. Uh, a world leader before Maduro. In case you guys are wondering, I am a Grok guy, so I've been using Grok. I was on ChatGPT for a while, but ChatGPT, for whatever reason, is limiting because I like to really explore thought and go deep down rabbit holes. So, uh, ChatGPT kind of limits me on that. So Grok doesn't really give a damn what we talk about. We can go all the way to the bottom of the rabbit hole, pitch a tent, camp out down there, and fucking smoke a bowl. I don't know, and then we can come back out the rabbit hole and fucking be smiling. Anyways, so obviously the most recent was Maduro. Now January 3rd, 2026. 40 years. Oh, okay. So back in. All right. Da, 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 da. All right, here we go. The most recent clear historical president of the United States directly capturing or kidnapping, as some sources describe it, a sitting or de facto world leader from their own country before the January 3rd, 26 capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was the arrest of Panamanian, the Panama president, fucking Panamanian, who the fuck Panamanian de facto leader, General Manuel Noriega. This occurred during the U.S. invasion of Panama, Operation Just Cause, which began on December 20th, 1989. Noriega, who ruled Panama as a military dictator from 1983 to 1989, despite not holding the formal title of president, had been indicted in the U.S. on drug trafficking, racketeering, and money laundering charges after U.S. forces invaded to remove him from power, protect American citizens, and restore democracy following the annulment of the '89 elections. Noriega went into hiding and took refuge in the Vatican's apostolic nunciature in Panama City. Vatican's apostolic nunciature, Nunciature. I'm guessing it's their outpost from fucking the actual Vatican out in Panama, probably. As you know, the actual Vatican's fucking in Italy, right? I'm gonna feel fucking dumb if y'all correct me and it's not. But let's be real, I've never been there. I haven't really dug too deep onto the Vatican. I've heard a lot of crazy shit about the Vatican, but that's something we could talk about in the future. For example, um, it's its own country, right? It's got its own laws. You can't like you. I don't know if you can be extradited from the Vatican. Like if you are facing charges in other places in the world, I'm not sure the U.S. can extradite you from the Vatican. I don't know if they allow that or if you're safe in the Vatican. It's a weird spot. Um, but then there's been some things in the past too, I believe, also about just there was a girl or something that disappeared. Is that even a true story? Anyways, let's just finish this Noriega thing and then we'll dig a little into the fucking Vatican. Um, but yeah, so he surrendered to U.S. forces on January 3rd. Talk about Noriega in 1990, exactly 36 years to the day before Maduro's capture. Yo, wow, I was 2 years old, man. I was 2 years old when they got Noriega, and I was 38 when they got um, Maduro. Exactly 36 years apart to the day. I wonder if they must have did that on purpose because that's significant. They could have picked one of any 365 days and they chose the same fucking day, January 3rd. That's pretty fucking badass. Hey, any world leader out there not on our good side, hey, be mindful on January 3rd. Feel me? You know what I'm saying? All right. Anyways, moving forward. Yeah, so I want to talk about was there an incident in the Vatican involving a young woman who disappeared? I believe it was disappeared, and this story is like infamous. I believe. Let's see. All right, searching the web. Here we go. I like I said, I might have seen it in a movie, and I'm just bringing a movie to light. I had talking about I got some crazy shit I got to talk to you guys about that I can't even fucking explain. Fuck it. All right, so yeah, she popped up. We could talk about her. Let's talk about her, and then I'll talk about my own shit. Yes, there is a highly infamous and enduring mystery involving the disappearance of a young woman connected to the Vatican, the case of Emanuela Orlandi. Emanuela Orlandi was a 15-year-old girl, often referred to as Vatican Girl, who vanished June 22nd, 1983, after attending a flute music lesson in central Rome, Italy. All right, I'm right. Vatican and Rome. All right. Anyways, she vanished right on June 22nd, 83. She was a Vatican citizen, the daughter of a lay employee who worked in the papal household, and the family lived inside Vatican City. She was last seen near a bus stop and never returned home, sparking one of Italy's and the Vatican's most notorious unsolved cases. Here are some photos of Manuel Orlandi. I'm not going to show you. Maybe I'll show you the photos. I don't know. But they're showing me some photos. Young lady, pretty young girl. Really unfortunate. Anyways, um, yeah, so there was a Netflix documentary on the Vatican Girls disappearance of Manuel Orlandi. Came out in 22. So check it out, whatever. I might need to check it out before I talk too much more about this. Anyways, we were talking about some shit going on in my life now. I can't really explain this, man, but there's this guy who just passed away. He's an actor, James, and I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole on this one. I just want to make sure I get his name right because I never knew him by name. I never met the guy, never met him, never knew him by name until later that day. And I know you guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but stand by and I will break this down Barney style for us all. I've told the story a couple times since about 3 weeks ago when it occurred, and and mind blown. I don't know what the fuck it is, but mind fucking blown. All right. So James Ransone. James Ransone. He was an actor in the movie Sinister, a couple other movies. He played like the local cop in Sinister that kind of interacted with um, um, Ethan Hawke's character. He would hang on one second, make sure this is going. He was interacting with Ethan Hawke's character, the writer, the book writer, the true crime writer. He was interacting with him because he wanted to be like in the book because he explained to Ethan Hawke like this is his character in the movie, right? He explained to Ethan Hawke, he's like, hey, you know how like when you write books, you're always like, hey, if it wasn't for this cop, if it wasn't for the sheriff, if it wasn't for this deputy, we wouldn't have been able to get the story together. Kid, I want to be that cop. You know what I mean? Like he's joking around, but he wants to be part of the story. Anyways, for whatever reason, since that movie Sinister, that character, like that actor, I don't know. I never knew his name until recently, and I never knew anything else really about him. But just his face stuck out to me, and I like the movie Sinister. So it's not like, for example, like the wife in Sinister. I remember she was pretty. I can't remember her face right now, right? But for whatever reason, I can remember Ethan Hawke's face. He's famous in a bunch of other movies. This character, the sheriff guy, or the little deputy cop guy that died, James Ransone, the actual actor. Uh, I remember his face. I've remembered his face over the years. Like I knew he was the dude in Sinister. For whatever reason, I knew that guy had a small part in Sinister. So whatever. So the other day, like most, probably like 4 or 5 days of the week now, I'm in the gym pretty hardcore, 2.5 hours or so, going hard as fuck. So, Lugnut, I see you, brother, and I'm trying to catch up, but you're killing it, bro. Stay after it. Anyways, um, that being said, so yeah, uh, I was in the locker room. I'd finished my workout. I showered. I changed over. I was folding my stuff up, putting it in my bag, my gym bag, just keeping to myself. There might have been 10 or 12 people in the locker room, 10 or 12 total guys in the locker room. And one guy walks in. This guy stood out completely different than everybody else. I'd never seen him there before. And honestly, since then, I haven't seen him since. I saw him that one time about 3 weeks ago. And so he walks in looking at his hands, right? Looking at his hands and smiling. And I told my mom about this too. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But I see this guy looking at his hands, smiling, not looking at anybody in the room, not engaging with anybody. I've never seen him before, never seen him since. He walks to the corner, the far corner of the locker room. I'm just watching because he's standing out to me because he's not looking at a phone. Most people walking around looking at their hands, there's a phone there, but he's looking at him just like this and smiling. It was the fucking weirdest thing. Didn't care about anyone else in the room. Walked to the corner of the room and then turned around and walked out of the locker room. And I never saw him again. But while he's walking in, I swear I see his face and I'm like, yo, I recognize that guy. And in my mind, I'm thinking like he could have been in a movie or something. But I never met him. Like I could tell right just by looking at him that he's not a friend of mine. He's not someone I personally dealt with in my life. But for whatever reason, I recognized his face. And in my mind, as he's walking through the locker room, like this is all happening like within like 5 to 10 seconds, like this little 5 to 10 second gap. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I swear he'd been in a movie or something. I just can't fucking put it on him. I don't know. And and then he, like I said, he gets to the end of the locker room, turns around and walks out. And that's the last I see him. And then it sticks with me throughout the day. And I'm just like, man, I swear I've seen him in a movie. And I think that I even thought about Sinister. I even thought about like, man, he might have been that guy in Sinister. Maybe he's just on vacation working out at Planet Fitness. I don't know. And I just missed my opportunity to introduce myself because I mean, I could show you pictures if you wanted, but I have a bunch. Like if I see celebrities out and about, I fucking walk up and introduce myself. I've done it multiple times, and I'll fucking do it multiple times in the future. But I couldn't like, I couldn't get like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I couldn't confirm it was the guy, but in my mind, I was like, damn, I recognize that motherfucker. And so the more, some of the day goes by, I leave the gym, I head into work, and then there's some downtime, so I go flipping through my Facebook. Sure enough, this dude pops up on my Facebook, James Ransome. Before I even read the fucking whatever the fuck they saying about him, I was like, yo, that's the motherfucker I saw at the gym. I saw that motherfucker today at the gym. And then I start reading what the fuck was posted about him. This dude killed himself the day before. You feel me? This dude hung himself the day before I saw him walking through the locker room. Now you can sit there and be like, dude, you probably just saw a random guy that looks really a lot like him, and it just confused you or something. And who knows, man? That might be the case. That might be the case. Okay, but it's too ironic. It's too beneficial. It's too unique. Um, he walked in looking at his hands and smiling. That's not a common thing people are doing. People aren't walking around staring at their hands or smiling. He was looking at his hands almost as if he had just been given his hands back. You see what I'm saying? Like he was looking at them like they were detached and now they're back. Like that's the look he was giving him. He was happy to see his fucking hands. And that's all he was looking at. He didn't give a fuck about anybody else in the room. So that, for one, was fucking weird to me, and that stood out the most. And two, um, I've never seen him before, and I never seen him since that day. So I'm not saying that it could have been someone traveling who has a Planet Fitness membership, then go from Planet Fitness to Planet Fitness if they so choose. I don't know. It could have been, especially a fucking hardcore lookalike. But but it's kind of too unique there also. And then I'm like I'm like doing research. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck happened? Like I swear I just seen this guy. So I'm going through the internet, I'm going through Facebook, trying to find more information. And then I'm like, damn, this guy must have been fucking anywhere between like I don't know 5'7" and 5'9". And then I go looking up for like some of his Wikipedia. The dude's 5'8". You know what I'm saying? So the height's there also. The height, the looking at the hands, the never seen before, never seen since. Um, that his engagement with his hands didn't engage with anybody in the room, not me. And I feel like I'm looking around. I feel like I'm the only dude noticing him. And I looked at him the whole fucking time. When he walks in, looking at his hands, he probably in the locker room for 2 feet, 3 feet before I catch him in my peripherals, and then I'm looking at him, looking at his hands, and that's when I just stopped. I couldn't look away. I was just like, what the fuck? What's up with this guy? And then it just stuck with me. And then I saw the post, and I was like, holy shit. But if you want to go into the weeds, man, I don't know. To this, like I've always tried to like game the universe. I've always tried to be like, well, the universe is a weird place, and maybe if I do this, this will happen. Maybe if I hope for this, this will happen. It's like, yo, dude, I'm done pre-gaming the universe, bro. At this point, it's just it is what it is. The universe, it is what it is. Like I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna try to figure it out. If the universe wants me to see something, it's gonna fucking show me. And I should not question it beyond that. You know what I'm saying? Like who the fuck am I? I've been on the planet 38 years. I swear if someone had all the knowledge in the universe, if they had it all, right? From fucking day one to year billion 13 billion, year 13 billion. If they had all that knowledge, even if they sat me down for every second of every minute of every hour of every fucking day, of my entire fucking life, even if I make it to 100 years, they will not be able to explain the whole life of the universe and everything that I need to know in that span of time. It's just impossible. I'm too fucking insignificant. So I'm okay with that. So I've just come to terms with, the universe is just, it's fucking weird. And I'm okay with that. So, but I've had some weird incidences, man. Um, I was thinking about it last night because I was thinking about recording this today, and I was like, should I talk about some of this shit? So fuck it. So I'm gonna talk about some of this shit. Uh, I had a buddy who passed away, and I don't want to say his name because I'm sure that, not a lot of you guys watch this, so that a lot of you probably know him, and I don't want to like, I don't want you guys to think one way or another about him. I have nothing but love for him, and I've always had love for him ever since we were friends when we were kids, and then when he passed away, and I still have love for him. Um, and uh, and I know all you guys do too. So I don't want to say his name, but if you know who he is, then just assume you know who he is, and we'll move forward. But so I remember when it happened, when the incident happened, and he was taken at a young age from us. Later that night, I was at the barracks. I was living in the barracks. The situation that took place with my old friend was up in the Northeast, and I was living in the barracks in North Carolina. And we were getting ready for the rifle range. I think we had that couple days before we were headed out to the rifle range. And in the barracks life, you got fucking young infantry marines going from barracks room to barracks room, having drinks, hanging out, smoking cigarettes, talking shit on the catwalk, just fucking having a good time. That's barracks. That's infantry barracks. And anyway, so my buddy comes into my room, and there's someone behind him, and I couldn't tell. I couldn't see his face. It was really just a silhouette. I couldn't see his face. It was just, no hair, kind of like my head, maybe some 5 o'clock shadow, some stubble. I got a little 2 day stubble, but that might have been a few more days stubble on the top of that head that I saw. A short guy, like my buddy that passed away was also, a short guy. Um, Anyways, so I told my buddy after he comes into my barracks room, he closed the door behind him, and I was like, "Hey, bro, that dude behind you, your buddy, he can come in here, dude. There's no reason why he doesn't have to sit on the catwalk. Like, you can bring your friend in here." I don't know. I was assuming maybe he had a friend from another unit, and he just wanted his friend to wait outside while he came in and he got a drink or hung out for a second. I don't know. So I was like, "Bro, your friend can come in," and he's like, "What are you talking about, man? Ain't no one out there." So I open the door and I go investigate the catwalk. There's fucking nobody there. You know what I mean? And to this day, there was someone there. I can't explain it more than that, but there was someone there enough so I could tell my other buddy like, hey, open the door, let your buddy come in. And I had goosebumps that night to this day. Sometimes when I tell a story, I'll get goosebumps, but right now telling the story, I don't have goosebumps. It's been living with me for too long. That story. This was back in like 2013. Uh, but that incident, I swore I might have seen my buddy, faceless, but his silhouette. And I don't know because this was just a day after he'd gone. So I thought maybe, and I don't know. This is me pre-gaming the universe again. The universe just is. So I'm done pre-gaming it. But at the time, I thought maybe he was just stopping by to say one last goodbye and before he took off. But to this day, I don't think that's the case. This now these days, I don't think that's the case. I don't think after we go, we're just stopping by people we love and saying goodbye. I think the universe kind of just shotgun blasts you somewhere before you go somewhere else. Maybe you're lucky. Sometimes it's to someone you know. Maybe it's to a few people. I don't know. Be honest with you. This is me pre-gaming the universe again. It's not up to me to figure out. It just fucking is. But that happened to me at the barracks. And then another incident I could tell you with a guy I served with. I don't know if I should say his name. I asked him a couple years ago when I talked to him if I ever did bring it up on the podcast, could I say your name? I think he said I could, but I can't really remember. And when I spoke to him last a couple years ago, I know I was intoxicated, so I don't want to, drop his name if he asked me not to. But we were on post, and this was in Marja, Afghanistan. And this was probably 2011, and we were on post. Probably it was a 0 to 6 post. So those first hours of the morning, anywhere from 12 o'clock to 6 in the morning, him and I were standing post. Um, in Afghanistan at the time, there was a curfew. It was like a 2200 or 10 o'clock p.m. curfew, and so whenever you'd see someone walking on the street, you're supposed to yell, "Hey, Kortaza," which in Pashto would be like "Go home," or uh, Arabic, but the Pashto dialect would be like "Go home, Kortaza," and typically they look at you and then they turn around and go home. But anyways, this night, him and I were standing post, and our post was like alongside this wadi, and on the other side of the wadi was a dirt street, like a dirt road, because everything's dirt over there, the desert, mind you. But so sure enough, this dude's fucking walking down the street. It's probably like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm sitting there. Brink's sitting there too, yelling, like, "Cortazat, go home, Cortazat." And the dude don't even look at us. He just ignores us and keeps walking. And so we yell louder because as a young Marine, like being ignored is, especially by someone that has no authority over you, is like a slap in the fucking face. You know what I'm saying? So we're like, "Yo, Cortazar, go fucking home." And so I pull out my Pats. I can't remember if they're Pats 28s or Pats 13s, but they're thermal optics. And I remember they would take like 30 seconds to a minute just to warm up. So you could turn them on, but they're not going to be completely operational for another 30 seconds to a minute. It's going to take its time to do its little internal bits test, and then I think something heats up in there. I don't know, but I remember it took like 30 minutes, or excuse me, 30 seconds to a minute for them to be fired up enough in order to use or to be operational. So as I'm firing them up, we're looking at this guy. We see his silhouette. He's wearing a white man dress with a white fucking man bun thing on his fucking head, and he's walking down the street, and we're yelling Cortazar, and he's just ignoring us. And finally, these things fire up. I pull him up to my eyes. The dude's gone. The dude's gone. He disappeared, man. And I talked to my buddy about it over the years, and to this day, he doesn't have an explanation for it. I don't have an explanation for it. Um, it's fucking wild. So I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that was, but I've done pre-game in the universe. I just know I saw something I couldn't explain, and that's 3 events I told you about today. One of most recent 3 weeks ago, the actor situation from the Sinister movie. But those are 3 incidences of I guess I'm assuming the dead. I'm assuming the dead. I don't know. And then another one, and I'll get into this. This one was one of the scariest ones for me. I was completely alone. Um, as you know, like the actor situation, I was in the locker room with like 10 or 12 other dudes. I wasn't alone, and I'm 38, so even if I was alone, I'd probably be okay. I wouldn't be super scared. You know what I'm saying? And then the one in Afghanistan was me and a buddy, right? And then and then the one in the barracks was me and a buddy, right, in the barracks room. So this one that I'm about to tell you was it was at my sister's house, and she sees this podcast and she listens to it or watches it. She might have her own opinion, but just the fact that she hasn't taken me really that serious ever since the incident. This was back in like 2010. Okay, I'll never forget it. Um, but if you know, to this day, I still don't know if she really takes me seriously, and it still pisses me off to this day. And it pissed me off more than anything that night. But anyways, so I'm up visiting from Florida before I joined the Marine Corps. This is just before I joined the Marine Corps. I broke my collarbone, so I'm out for a couple of months, and I decided to come to Vermont and visit my sister and some family and stuff. So I stay at my sister's house, and I'm on the couch watching TV. She's at work. There's no one in the house. They have an apartment in the second story. No one's up there. There's no one in the driveway. I'm the only person in the motherfucking building. Okay? So I'm watching TV and the front door opens and it closes. Like it opens and closes with intent. Someone walked in the door and they closed the door behind them. And I'm assuming it's my sister because she was on her way home, or she came home about an hour later. I think she got off work at like 11 that night. The incident took place around an hour before she got home. So I'm assuming maybe she got home early. So I'm sitting there yelling, "Hey, Maria, Maria!" No one's answering me. And imagine like there's probably 100 feet between the front door and the living room where I'm laying down, and there's like the kitchen, another room, and then the living room I'm laying in. So there's kind of like two doorways this thing has to walk through. So and it's all wood floor. And those of you that've been in the Marine Corps, you can imagine what combat boots on a wood floor could sound like with someone walking with intent, walking as if they had a purpose. So like that's what it was. And it came all the way from the front door all the way to the living room where I was at. The whole time I'm just getting louder, Maria, Maria. And no one's answering me. And then finally, when it gets to like the couch I'm laying on, it's behind the couch I'm laying on. I like sink into the couch because I'm kind of scared. I don't know if I'm going to be attacked or something. And then it stops. It completely stops. And I go around the house. I turn all the lights on and no one's fucking there, dude. So that was one of the first times something like that has ever scared me as much as it did. I have other incidences that I could talk about, but as far as like the afterlife or what I assume are like ghosts or death or whatever, those are the four that come to mind. And ever since 3 weeks ago when that actor passed away or killed himself, it's like they've all been refreshed in my mind. I've been rethinking about these things, going over them again in my mind, trying to find key like characteristics, right? Between them so that maybe, I don't know, this is me trying to pregame the universe again, but maybe I can fucking look for some of these characteristics in the real world, among like when I'm going to the store or something. And I don't know. And it sounds crazy, but imagine like I'm walking down the grocery aisle and I see some dude smiling, just walking down the aisle, just staring at his hands. Now I know that's out of place. And I've seen it before and I knew it was it interrupted my baseline hardcore the first time I saw it. So now, like, if I see that, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm just going to, I won't even engage it. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do. And I don't know if I should be like, hey, do you see me? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm going to engage, but I will watch because I want a head nod. I want to be seen. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if I should be talking to them, but them looking at me could be enough for me to know that, okay, I'm onto something. Until this point, except for like the one at my sister's house behind the couch, until this point, those four incidences, I don't think I've been acknowledged by any of them. And then the one at my sister's house, the only reason why I kind of feel like I was acknowledged is because it walked to the couch I was laying on. But that could have just been for whatever reason. It could have not even had to do with me. So I don't know. This shit gets crazy. But I mean, we could talk about some other shit. How much time we got today? Should we just keep rolling? Oh, Jesus Christ, we're coming up on 30 minutes. All right, we can get into the weeds a little bit more. So those are incidences of like shit I can't explain as far as what I attribute to like death or the afterlife. But I've also dealt with some weird shit that comes to like, I don't know. I'm guessing like space or aliens maybe, but I don't know. I attribute it to that. We'll start with when I was in the 6th grade. Okay. And I have a buddy on Facebook. I spoke to him a couple years ago and I asked him if I could talk about this publicly. and he said I could, and I remember specifically him saying I could. We spoke on the phone. We spoke through messages. My buddy Sheldon, and I'm not going to give his last name just out of respect for him, but if you really want to dig through, I have my fucking friends list. I don't even know if it's public. It's probably not, but you'd find him. Excuse me. But that night was an interesting night, and I'll close the podcast with this story. Um, my buddy Sheldon, another buddy, uh, I'll just give their first names because you'll never fucking find them. Anthony and another buddy Zeb. Um, all four of us were in a tent because we were in the sixth grade, and back then, as long as the teachers got permission slip signed, they could take you out to Canyonlands for a week, and that was cool. So I don't know. Listen, I don't have kids. I don't know. Maybe y'all got kids. I don't know if they're still doing, week long overnight trips with kids from damn son. Hello? Okay. I don't know if they're doing week long trips from fucking damn from school overnight trips with their teachers anymore. I don't know if that's happening. But if it is, all power to you. Anyways, that's what was going on with us. And I remember I got to share a tent with my buddy Anthony, Sheldon, and Zeb, and we were all super stoked because we didn't really hang out outside of school besides me and like Sheldon because our parents were normal, typical white people. And I don't know, I say typical white people, not saying that there weren't typical other races, but I guess our parents didn't really give a shit if we hung out together. Zeb, we were all white kids except for Anthony, he was like Native American, but Zeb, he was like Jehovah's Witness, so he was like never allowed to hang out with us. But anyways, so we all shared a tent that night, and it was late. We were staying up late, just joking, like young kids. We get to joke and finally get to spend, some time together. It was fun, and you know how tents they got those windows that if you unzip the screen, the screens come down. You kind of see through them or whatnot. Uh, so we had the screen down, and we're playing around, and all of a sudden there's this bright light, and maybe like 100 meters from our tent, and we could see it through the tree line, just kind of going through the tree line because you could see the trees, breaking up the light, and then you could see it coming through the tree line. And I remember that pretty much ended our fun for the night. We weren't really joking around anymore. Things kind of got serious. We kind of all just kind of laid down, finally bedded down and went to sleep. And then the next morning, we woke up. The first thing I did is went and told the teacher, like, hey, like we saw something. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was going through the tree line, and it scared the shit out of us. Da da da. Apparently, the teachers might have thought it was funny because they must have contacted the school, throughout the week on our way, before we got back, because that Friday that newsletter came out, the school newsletter, weekly newsletter, saying like, hey, these kids all saw a UFO, LOL, haha, like it's all funny. I remember feeling shame from that incident. Like I remember feeling the eyeballs looking at me like I was crazy as a sixth grader when I knew that I saw something that scared the living shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like I fucking felt the shame of it, And to this day, like I tell people that when I tell the story, it's like they put us in the school newsletter like it was a big fucking joke, But it wasn't a joke. We were four fucking scared kids, man. And but anyways, that morning before I went and told the teacher that shit, like me and my buddies went and investigated the little path that this thing took through the tree line. And there's no walkway, there's no road. It wasn't like it was just going through the fucking tree line, and there was nothing on the ground except for burnt sticks and burnt leaves. So it was fucking weird, man. Uh, but another thing, I don't have an explanation for it. I don't know. We might have seen a UFO. We might have. I don't know what the fuck we saw, man. But I can't pregame the universe. I'm not gonna tell you it's one thing or the other. But I'm gonna tell you that we don't know what the fuck it was. And all these stories I told you today, I don't have an explanation for it. And I've just come to terms with it. It is what it is. That's the universe. Anyways, we went a little longer than normal today. I love you guys. I'm glad you guys sat with me today. Please subscribe, like, follow. Treeline Podcast will be coming out with episodes every so often. I'm not setting a time limit like once a week, once every 2 weeks, nothing like that. I'm just gonna go as I'm comfortable, and it's fun for me. So as long as it stays fun and you guys get something out of it, then I'm gonna keep doing it. Otherwise, for me, it does something for me internally, mentally, psychologically. It's helpful, almost like mindfulness, almost like meditation. Having a hobby or something artistic. This isn't even really that artsy,
But putting it all together, I guess, on the computer program and then using the equipment, in my mind, creates some kind of art. And it's good to keep your mind occupied with art. I mean, at the end of the day, we are human. You know, the societal things that we do, go to work, have a wife, have kids, have a job, all this shit. Like, that's all societal norms. But don't forget, at the end of the day, you are still human. So please exercise your humanness. Do something artsy. Have fun. Go do something that makes you happy. Not just for your spouse, not just for your kids. Do something for you. I love you guys. Fucking Treeline Podcast. Deuces.